All right, thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody in today for the Chatham Area Transit Committee of the Whole meeting today at Tuesday, July the 11th, 2023. I'd like to thank all of our stakeholders, our community, our board, and our staff, and our CEO, Ms. Faye Massimo. Next, I'd like to get this meeting called to order. Can you please give us a roll call? Stephanie?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Director Emister?
Here.
Thank you. Director Odell?
Here.
Thank you. Director Stone?
Present.
Thank you. Director Lockett?
Here.
Thank you. Director Adams?
Here.
Thank you. Director Robinson? Okay, present from Dr. Robinson. Thank you. Director Leggett? Not present for roll call. Director Taylor?
Here.
Thank you. And Chairman Cody?
Here.
Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody back. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July weekend. And first of all, we're going to go into our presentations, status reports to committee. First up, we will have Dr. Manning.
Let's go ahead. Okay. All right. Thank you, Chairman Cody, and thank you, Board of Directors and staff, and the public watching us at large. For my department, we don't have any action item for today, so I'm just going to go ahead with my presentation. On the safety and security, I think it's getting better now with all the pass swaps. So if you look on this data, you can see that size swaps, we had only one for the month of June. We have 3 rear end and mirror tap, and I did talk to our safety officer, and he has plans that our next safety meeting is going to address that situation, and also have operators that were involved in accidents retrain to bring this number down. Next slide, please.
Dr. Manning, before you move on from that one, I did want to mention, in addition to the operations matters, I wanted to be sure that we mentioned that our new security manager is on board, our security supervisor. That our new security supervisor is on board, has started this week. She's been present both down at the ITC as well as at this facility, and we are also well underway with the hiring of additional security personnel. So we're certainly making progress there and have deeply appreciated the partnerships that we've had both with Savannah PD and Chatham PD during this period of time as we've been transitioning and so forth, and are continuing those partnerships. I want to be sure we mention that.
Thank you.
Have we been able to, is anyone else being hired?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Security.
Yes, sir. That's why I was saying that hiring is ongoing right now. I was trying to, how many candidates do we have in HR right now? 6?
For the officers.
Number of officers.
The number, yes, candidates.
We received about 15 applications that
That's
we're
very
going
good.
through, running
Very
through
good.
background as we speak.
Thank you, Ms. Faye. Next slide, please. On the training side, we had 5 fixed route, all trained. And as a matter of fact, last Friday was the last training for the 2 that joined our workforce. So between the month of May and June, we have 5 fixed route with CDL trained, and we have 2 paratransit. And I will give you the update on the CDL when I get to my division update. So far, training is on point, and come on board, and also the progress of our CDL. which I will say more about it when I get to my division updates. Next slide, please. The good news is that the month of June, our on-time performance went up by a 0.%. And our goal is that since we understaff, this is all going to go away. And very shortly, we'll be hitting our 70% target mark. So it's 62 because we're still short staff on the fixed route side. And as we get our CDA training and get staff on board, the goal is to reach 70. And my proposal is even to set a goal a little higher than 70% because the standard in our industry is 80 for most places. So we will get there when we have fully staffed. I would love to see that 70% target go up to 80 when we have fully staffed. Next slide, please. On ridership, we're still on the fixed route side. On ridership was very good news. If you compare May to June, we went up 2.2%. So anytime ridership goes up, it's always good. That means that our system is getting better, it's reliable, and so more people are riding it. So this is a very positive news to share with the public and the board that the month of June, we went up 2.2%. If you compare that to May, which was 149,952, June went up to 153,292. A 2% is always good. And this number, I see that was gonna go up. And thank you, Board Member Clinton. We took your advice, and if you see on the current month, on the mid-strip side, on the far right, you're gonna see that everything is detailed. Non-run, meaning number of buses that didn't go out, and it's also related to manpower. Late trips were 0. We had only 3 accidents. Road course was 2. So the whole entire total came to 104 compared to last month. So anytime you see all these numbers going down, it's always good. And you wanted to know about the electric vehicles versus diesel vehicles, and you want the breakdown of what didn't go out and what was late. And so we changed the way we were reporting mistrips to put the details so that the board and the public will understand what didn't go out and what was late and how many accidents and how many road calls. So that is all defined. And we're gonna keep this template moving forward.
I've got a question on the missed trips for June and May. They're about like 104, 150. How many missed trips were we having before we made the change, the big change in service?
Yeah.
When was
Yeah.
that? Late last year.
Yeah,
This
that
number
was
way
yeah,
higher.
yeah, it was very high, and if you can all recall that I explained the reason. So we had the senior citizen circular, we have the bus, Route 11, the 20, all these routes were suspended. What
those
didn't
were all
happen?
adding to-
Yeah, what didn't happen is that our software system should have been upgraded to suspend this route. So the software is reading anytime these buses, though they are suspended, it's telling us that they didn't go out.
Mhm.
And if you add this for a month for 3 routes that didn't go out, that's why the number was high.
Yeah, that really adds up.
The other item there too, Director Edminster, is you were reflecting back to before the service mod, I believe, as well.
I mean, these
You
numbers
remember
were
our reliability numbers were like off the charts, not in a good way.
very, very bad.
And we made, some pretty severe changes, necessary, but pretty severe changes, brought that reliability back into a consistent posture so people could count on it. It might not be as much service as they want, but it was reliable service. And now we've been adding back ever since with all the work that Dr. Manny and the operations team and all of us together have made happen. So you're starting to see that reflected in all of this as well.
Something that could also help is missed trips, for example, we've got 104 missed trips, but how many trips are we planning to make? If nothing broke down and we had everybody driving and everything was sunny all the time, we're talking about 104 missed trips out of how many trips?
Well, this is the trips we have now. This is all after the modification. Remember, it used to be like 3,000 and all that stuff. So that's why we broke it down per your advice. In the past, it's just missed trip, adding everything up, and people don't even understand.
Got it.
Yeah, so now there's a breakdown. If you look at the accidents, you have 3 accidents. Whenever there's an accident, that route is going to be missed because we have to replace the bus and all that stuff. So if you see all these numbers going down, like the accident, the road calls, and the late trips are all together. That's why we have the 104. In the past, we were just giving bulk number without this table.
Thank you.
You what? Now we're back on the paratransit. We had a little shortfall on the ridership on paratransit. Of late, we're having some few drivers just left us. And so if you see the month of June, the numbers were down, ridership was, the demand is still there. I've always been saying that the demand is there. It's just that the manpower side is what we're lacking. But that is also going to change because we have 2 in class now. And the department head has interviewed about 5 more, and with HR on top of their game, doing everything. I congratulate Ms. Carter for what she's doing by speeding up the background check and getting involved herself. So we have 2 that are also part of the training for this month. And we hope that will be much easier to hire drivers than to hire drivers with CDL, because that is very hard to find. But with the drivers, they just have to have a normal driver's license to drive the paratransit. So we hope to see this number change next month report. And so that was the only setback. But if you see the paratransit missed trips, that also went down. Ms. Baker, I give her a shout out. She had a meeting with the FTA to define what is missed trip on the paratransit side. And if you can see it, all the definition underneath what is a missed trip, that really kind of changed the number. So, and I can give you the FTA report that she has if anybody needs that. Next slide, please. On-time performance for paratransit is always high. The month of June, we had 90.7%, which is an increase of 1.4%. That means the more we can be on time, the more our service is going to be reliable and people will use it. So that's the paratransit on-time performance. Okay, now ridership for the Marine, and as you all have seen that the Marine is in demand, and though we have old vessels, a shout out to Captain John and his staff. They always find a means to let it work. Ridership was very high. We're not even counting people that use the bus bridge. I remember that if the ferry is not working, we have a bus bridge that transport people across the bridge. We're not even counting them. This is just people that rode on our vessels. Okay.
Dr. May, one other thing. It's working. There we go. One other thing I wanted to add too is you all recall that last year the Georgia Municipal Association GMA meeting, one of the largest conferences in Savannah, had a somewhat disappointing experience with us. I'm very proud to say that we got a really stellar email from them at the conclusion of this year's conference, congratulating Kat and the Visit Savannah teams for the excellence with which their needs were met this time. So we really are proud of that and wanted to be sure we mentioned that to you as well.
Thank you, Ms. Frey. Yeah, I believe the last time around, Compared to this time, we did very well. So thank you, Ms. Fay. Next slide, please. Now, on the maintenance side, again, Board Member Clinton, this is what you wanted to define. I've always explained what mean distance between vehicle failures means, meaning how long can we run before our vehicles break down. Although we have useful life and over mileage on our fixed route, yet the shop is doing an incredible job trying to keep the buses running. If you look at this data, you're going to see that the fixed route non-EV, that is the diesel and hybrid, the national standard for mean distance between vehicle failures is 14. And if you look at that, we went over 19,140 miles. And if you compare that to the EV, you might ask, why is the electric vehicle numbers very lower than that, though they knew? And the reason is that if you look at the very bottom where it says vehicles out of service, you're going to see that it's a 1. So one of the electric bus was under repair for some electrical issue. That's why that number went down. So I just want the board and the public to know that. And other than that, they're very reliable, and I guess that's the future of electric vehicles.
I recently met somebody who works here recently, who was recently hired to do specifically like electrical mechanical work. Which I thought was pretty cool. And I was just wondering, are there, God, what is my question? Like, how are we sort of making sure that we've got the talent in place to maintain the vehicles as we buy more and more of them?
One thing I'd want to mention specific to that is the SMART grant. You'll recall that we are working on a program with Savannah Tech right now because there was funding included in that grant for them in their partnership with Hyundai to do both electric vehicle training and electric charging infrastructure training that we would be able to participate in and train up our folks. We are also working in a partnership with them for things like apprenticeships and those kinds of things. When we went and met with them about that funding, that was something that they were eager to discuss and think about how to develop those partnerships. So we are being very intentional about that, both with our operators and in the technology side, training everyone up, as well as on the vehicle and charging.
Do you know how many people we have that are specific to, because it seemed like this guy was specific, we just had a short conversation, but it was specifically like here for electrical stuff. Do we have, is he like one of one or one of three, one of two? That's great.
And also,
I'd love to do stuff
yeah,
like that one day.
Ms. Faye had organization in Atlanta. They called City Air Quality something. So they reached out to me last month, and they did a tour with me and Mr. Flanders, and they love our setup. So they have funding. They're gonna get with Ms. Faye and Ms. Carter about a program that they have, which is free of charge. They're gonna help us train our mechanics on how to fix all these electric vehicles. So that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay, last slide. And this is just a division update. We've been talking a lot about the CDA training. I'm happy to tell you guys that we kickstart that this Monday. So we have 4 students so far in the class, and we anticipate to have more. So far, there's about 15 applicants that we're gonna go through and have them on. Mr. Dumas was able to even interview 3. So the list is growing. There's a demand and there's interest for the public. And I thank all the public watching us today, that if you have anybody that wants to join our staff, they don't have to have a CDL. We have an ongoing program. They can come on board. We can train them and have them have a CDL and be with us. So we're working on that to go out with a campaign and let everybody know. But so far, the class started Monday. is going very well. And we anticipate 6 to 8 weeks they'll be done, and we'll bring you all the results of the outcome of the training. And as people are applying, we're gonna go through all the steps to have them also on board. So we hope that the next class is gonna be full size, probably more than 4 that we have now, maybe a 10 and then more, as the program gets very popular. The paratransit vehicles, we registered them and they are all rolling out on revenue line. We're still waiting on our infrastructure from Georgia Power. And when that is implemented or installed, we're gonna have the vehicles charged in a high demand. Right now, we're using our charging system for the fixed route to charge the vans. So in other words, they're sharing the 6 electric buses plus the 10 hours sharing the charging station. But they've been out in revenue line, and somebody called and says they want to speak to Dr. Manny. I says, okay. I says, Dr. Manny, thank you for sending a Cadillac to pick me up. The ride was smooth and they all love it. So, and that's what we want the public to know. So eventually, we're gonna have more, and then that paratransit side will be over. The 3 diesel buses that came with the paratransit 10 vehicles, they are all registered. They're rolling out June 17th. Because Clever is working on the software integration so that the buses will work with all our routes as is the requirement whenever you get a new fleet. So we hope that to go out on June 17th. Just that the 3 new diesel that we got. Still on the department update, the fixed route and paratransit, I have asked them to carry out a monthly meeting. I attended both of them from paratransit fixed route, and it's good that we're doing that. The staff get to ask questions, and we are able to explain to them to when people feel like they're part of something, and then they all kind of do more to help out. So that is also ongoing every month. We'll have individual meetings with their staff. The fixed route, as you all know, every quarter we do a pick, what we call a pick. The drivers will all get together. They'll be all routes, and then they'll pick by seniority. So we have the fixed route done, and this time, executive staff with WRA were able to do a very good job. The split hours between routes is minimized, and so the union and of course staff love what good job they do. That will go in effect July 17th, which is next Monday. Paratransit is also done, very good bid, and that is also already in effect. And that will be my update from my department. If anybody have questions, I'm ready to take any questions. If not, then I think I'm done.
You have any questions?
Thank you.
All right. I thank you for your presentation, Dr. Manning. And we have on the Service Delivery Operational Committee, our chair is Director Leggett. Thank you for that presentation. Next, we'll be moving on to our financial service audit, which is chaired by our chair, Helen Stone. Now we'd like to hear from our CFO, Ms. Stephanie Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Board of Directors, CEO DeMassimo, colleagues, and the public at large. I'll be presenting today a status report providing an overview of our financial condition, as well as talk a little about where we are with our HR stats. The financial overview for the month of June left us with 7.3 million in the operating account. Our payroll account was at 0, will be replenished for the upcoming payroll. Our grant account was at 169, 549.64, and our investment account was at $8,073,731. CAT is still looking strong in terms of its financial health. The statement of our investment account is reflected here. The policy is 3 months of our operating for FY24. That's $7.9 million. In the future, I will be coming back with a policy update to consider increasing our reserve funding to 6 months, which means it will double what it is now. And the purpose of that is to better, as CAT grows, our expenses grow, and we have to be prepared in the case of an emergency. Our interest for the month was $33,838, no withdrawals, leaving a balance of $8,073,731.
It's a lot of money.
This is a graph that reflects our growth in our investment account, and you can see it's still climbing. The month of June was only $135 less than May, but it's still going strong, and we plan to make another deposit within the next couple of months.
So that's the amount of money that we're making per month. And it all adds up to 246.
Yes, for fiscal year 23.
Cool.
Okay, this reflects our fiscal year transit tax receipts. We budgeted or projected about 13.3 million, and in actuality, we received $13.9 million. The projection for fiscal year 24 is projected at $14 million. We are awaiting our receipts from the county. Received an email just today saying that that report should be to us on tomorrow, and this table will be completed in preparation for our board meeting, reflecting those numbers, those July receipts. Our financial management oversight final report is well underway and preparing for submittal to the FTA by July 31st. It covers the period July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2021. We will be responding to the findings as provided, grant draw requests for the electric buses, records retention, procurement file concerns, vendor payment concerns, and then, of course, advisory comments from the consulting firm conducting the review. Our human resources stats are in progress, working on a chart that will provide vacancies by division. It will also tell you how many we have in pre-employment screenings. We had 2 paratransit operators to start training on Monday. Also, the security supervisors had her orientation on Monday as well. We are currently processing about 20 applications, 2 for finance positions, about 16 for security positions. We received 1 for the maintenance coordinator positions. The applications are beginning to come in, and that's good news. Also joining the human resources team, Ms. Alyssa Anderson, that was an internal promotion as the HR journalist focusing on recruitment.
Hey,
The agenda action items for July, the 10 gasoline-powered paratransit van, change order for the ferry vessels, no delays in project completion or costs associated with that. We are bringing forward a recommendation for approval to release an RFP for information technology and IT support services, and also the overview of the final report that will go to the FTA immediately upon board approval. Components of that response, legal sent me their review on today. So all of that will be completed and submitted on time and provided to the board within the next week, so that you all will have an opportunity to really go through it in preparations for questions at the board meeting.
I have one additional action item that, or proposed board action item that Ms. Cutter and I will be bringing forward under this portion of the agenda as well. We were just notified yesterday that FTA has funded the grant for the ferry dock and the ferry maintenance facility. We're now off of the list of unobligated balances, list we didn't want to be on. We're now off that list, and those projects are funded, and those bid packages are ready to go. And now that they've notified us of that funding, and knowing the timeliness needed to go ahead and get those grants implemented, we're going to be bringing forward the bid packages to you in an information, or in a additional item forthcoming on the action items, to seek your approval to release the bids for both of those and get those projects underway. But very exciting and very good news.
Wonderful.
That was that 2017 grant.
wow.
It's great.
Are there any questions regarding the financial services update?
Very thorough report.
Thank you. If not, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Cutter, Vice CFO, Ms. Cutter, for that presentation on financial service. Always needed that. Next, we'll be moving into planning and infrastructure development, which is chaired by our Director Clinton Evans. And we will have our presentation for our CEO, Ms. Bailey.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, colleagues and the general public that's joined us today. During the month of June, we had exciting times. We had a visit from President Skoutelis, who is the President and CEO of APTA. We were, I know before the meeting, chatting about the fact that Passenger Transport, which is our industry's national magazine, national publication, that Cat made the headlines above the fold for his visit, and he was very impressed with everything that this board and staff have been working together to accomplish. So we were glad to have him here. He also did the CatCast podcast with Chairman Cody while he was here, and that is actually out now and available for viewing. Next item. On general planning items, we have continued coordination ongoing with Port Wentworth, with Amazon, and with Hyundai. And I'll talk about those a little bit in reverse order. Hyundai staff will actually be here on Friday to tour the facility here, look at our electric vehicles, and talk with us a little bit more about the opportunity to help serve their needs of getting people connected to the jobs that are going to be at that facility. So we're excited about that visit. We are still in coordination with Amazon. They have delayed a bit making a decision because they're still in the hiring process, and they want to get a little bit more of that completed and kind of know where people are coming from and so forth in order, and how much they need before we finalize any arrangements with them. And then we have been working diligently with Port Wentworth, similar to the IGA arrangement that we have currently with Garden City's recent expansion. And we will be bringing that forward to you in the next month or two as we finalize those arrangements and and have Port Wentworth come and meet with you as a board. They'll also be meeting with the county in a discussion around the transit tax district and revenues from that transit tax district within their boundaries that will help support the service expansion. So a lot of really exciting development. That's going to be about a $500,000 service expansion for CAT. So very exciting. The master transit plan review is nearing completion. You may recall we started off with providing about 4 months ago, I think it was now, we provided the what. The next month we provided the how. So the what was sort of the kinds of the types of projects and the broad network of projects that we would want to be considering in the master transit plan. The next month was the how, the financial strategies and so forth. Then we put it together in the third month and discussed it with you then, and then presented it, and the board at that time wanted an additional month. And so that we have completed that. We had a meeting, and I want to thank Directors Taylor and Odell that had some additional questions, and we spent time with them individually yesterday. Also had a chance to talk to Director Robinson before the holiday around some questions that she had, and we've got some additional information to provide to her, but we had discussions with the other two directors yesterday. I want to thank you all for the incredible diligence as a board that you have put into getting that master transit plan to the finish line. It is such an important part of how we're going to move forward the future of CAT. It will be that visionary framework of what we're going to do. And remember that this month we're also going to be presenting the COA TDP, which is that more the shelters, the routes, the frequency. It's that more fine-grained stuff. So as you continue to have questions there, you've got a whole nother month of opportunity around continuing to ask those questions before that comes before the board. So a lot of excellent work that is guiding CAT's future, and it will make a huge difference in funding partnerships that we see at the federal and state level, because when you walk in the door and you've got your plans, both the longer term, the vision, and that shorter term piece to be able to present as a part of your funding request, it always receives an incredibly favorable response. On partnerships and grant performance, we are working with the county, the city, the Chamber of Commerce, and CETA around some collaboration on electric charging infrastructure. I know that the county is pursuing a Protect grant, and we are helping to provide some support to that. But in addition, we've got that broad group of partnership. We're looking at how we can bring that Georgia Transit Trust Fund opportunity that we have, particularly into that as well. And then on grant performance, of course, we've already discussed it, but the good news was the ferry maintenance facility and DOT grant is across the finish line, and we're ready to start delivering. And if you've been over and ever seen I'm gonna put it in the ferry maintenance facility, which is in a few parking spots in the parking deck, you'll know that is one of probably the most needed pieces of maintenance infrastructure that we have. In addition to that, we will be bringing forward a informational item on the SMART grant. We will be submitting tomorrow. That's something the board has already authorized. We got the agreement this week from USDOT. They've requested that we turn it around by the 13th. We think we're going to have it back into them tomorrow. And
Which one?
The SMART grant.
Got it.
And with that grant agreement going back into them, and again, you'll have an informational item in your packet just to keep the board updated. They will also be, the funding will start to flow on that grant possibly as early as Friday. So again, very exciting times on the improvements that we're making. The July 17th service improvements, and Dr. Manny may want to comment on some of these with me. We certainly work in close collaboration between planning and operations. But you can see, if we can put the next one. most of the changes that have occurred between March and July are things where we are adding in service. Where, again, we've said, you know, when we made those service mods last year, we did it to get that reliability back into our system. But we've been adding things back in, trying to increase our frequencies, working our funding partnerships. You can see one of these on here talks about the partnership with the City of Savannah on the 7DC. Service on Route 11 has been restored. Route 14 is now providing service to the VA clinic at the Savannah Mall. So we are continuing to, you know, bring things back and bring things better. And we're really proud of the work. Again, we do this as a board and staff together. And we're really hope you all are as proud as we are of what we've been accomplishing. So those are the July 17th service improvements. Next item. The July 23rd agenda topics will be the action item for adoption of the master transit plan, and then you will have a presentation on the COA TDP, the Comprehensive Operational Analysis and Transit Development Plan, along with the beginning outline of the Title VI equity analysis that's being performed for the upcoming service modification. Remember, we made that temporary service mod last October to bring that service reliability into line. And now we've got 1 year that we've got to finalize what we're going to finalize. And so, and a required Title VI equity analysis is being performed. And that is the item that you will actually be approving, is that Title VI equity analysis. So all that will be, there'll be a presentation that starts that conversation. And again, remember, this will be, have the opportunity to see it, comment on it, talk about it. We'll have a whole month for your review before we bring that back for that item and finalization. Any questions?
We do have one. Oh, Director Everson, were you about to speak? Okay. Chairman Cody, if I may, Director Robinson asked the question, does the shuttle covers all of the stops that is covered by Route 29?
It does.
Dr. Robinson? Just want to make sure you received that response back from CEO DeMassimo.
It does. And Beverly, I
said
think,
okay.
can she hear?
Yes.
I wanted to mention to Dr. Robinson as well that we will be at Cloverdale's Neighborhood Association tonight. We have met with a number of the neighborhood associations over the course of all the work that we've been doing. We'll be meeting with them again tonight for the final presentation to them on the master transit plan. They've been very positive in their reception of the changes that we've made and what's forthcoming. And we'll be there tonight for one more conversation. So, and thank you for the question. And that's all we have in planning and infrastructure development.
Sorry, Dr. Robinson, she said, what about Carver Village?
They have been, members of the Carver Village neighborhood have been coming also to that meeting, but we will check with Carver Village again as well. I know that Dr. Robinson had asked for what was some of their specific comments, and we're pulling that information out of the public outreach that was done over the life of the master transit plan to provide to her what the questions were and the responses were.
Okay, as far as the shuttle service, the shuttle covers all of Carver Village as well, the bus stops?
Everything that was previously covered by that route is covered by the shuttle.
Okay.
And the improvement, Beverly, and I think it's important for us to say that again, is that no stops or any of those, no service was taken away. And what was given in addition to what had been there is zero fare service. So we're really proud of the fact that we, from an equity perspective, that our aim there was true, and that we not only took that opportunity when we were having to make those tough service modification decisions, that we not only were doing the things that modified at the time and reduced, but we made sure that we did a really important thing then. And we also expanded, Ms. Cutter was just reminding me, we did an expansion to dismiss charities there as well. But again, the only thing that was lost there was the fare.
Thank you. Okay, She received the response. Thank you.
No questions? All right. I'd like to thank our CEO, Mr. Massimo, for her presentation on planning and infrastructure development. Next, we'll be going to our proposed board action item for consent individual consideration by committee.
Chairman, I think we covered a lot of these during our status reports, but I will say under executive governance, there's a couple of things I want to mention to you. One, I want you to be aware we are all very deeply engaged in the triennial review prep right now. Our entire team is, that's an important part of our performance evaluation with the Federal Transit Administration and so forth. Really important evaluation. So all of that very extensive effort is underway. Also, I would expect that we will also be having an executive session briefing on a potential litigation matter at this upcoming meeting. And lastly, under executive governance, I also wanted to mention that we are meeting on, I know that there's been some questions recently around security. And we talked about that earlier in the meeting, but one piece that we wanted to reiterate is we are experiencing the impacts of the homelessness situation in Savannah and Chatham County, just like a lot of other entities and organizations are, and it's particularly impactful to us at the ITC. The mission that's located immediately behind us in the evenings when they're doing intake for folks that are going to be staying there for the evening, when they get full, folks come back over and come to us in the covered platform and that kind of thing. So we have a meeting. We have been doing ongoing coordination with the Savannah Homeless Authority and Savannah PD in addressing that issue. But we have another meeting with them, I believe it's tomorrow afternoon. And we're going to be working on an additional specific sort of wraparound services strategy with our partners of how we continue to help better that situation. Because there's usually, there are matters that crop up around that every week. So just wanted you to be aware, though, that we are on top of that and very aware of it. Thank you.
Financial services. Ms. Cutter, you're going to introduce your items?
No, I think we can close the financial part out. We did such an exceptional job the first time around. We can go back. We're gonna go to our proposed board presentations for July 25th, 2023, regular board meeting.
As I mentioned in the Planning and Infrastructure Development Report, you'll have a presentation, the full presentation on the COA TDP work that's been ongoing, and for your availability comment over the next month.
If we don't have any old or new business, we have our next meeting, a regular board meeting on July 25th, 2023. It sounds like to adjourn this meeting. Thank everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.